And then he said something to me that like, he goes, do you want to see where Tupac is buried? And I'm like, I don't, what do you mean? Because everyone knows Tupac's ashes were spread off the Pacific and Malibu. He's like, oh, yeah, no.
For decades, Pac's death has been hip-hop's biggest ghost story. Now 2025 got the hood buzzing, a secret grave in Carolina, Diddy's name back in the mix, and a trial ducking justice. The truth ain't buried, it's breathing through the cracks, and when it finally speaks, you might never sleep again. Somebody's empire gon' crumble. Let's begin. Jeff Pearlman's Bombshell biography exposes Tupac's hidden grave and family war over his estate.
Did you learn anything about his death?
Yeah, I mean, so he died, it's interesting, he died in Vegas, and he was there for the Bruce Seldon-Mike Tyson fight. A very, very bad fight.
Jeff Pearlman just did what nobody else could. He found Tupac's actual grave. And trust me, the way it went down reads like something straight out of a movie. For nearly 3 decades, the world believed Pac was fully cremated. No grave, no final resting place, just ashes scattered across the globe and some allegedly smoked by the outlaws. But Pearlman's new book, Only God Can Judge Me, The Many Lives of Tupac Shakur, just flipped that entire narrative on its head, and the hip-hop community is still trying to process it. The sports biographer turned his attention to hip-hop's most complex figure, spending 3 years conducting almost 700 interviews. He talked to everyone, family members like Sister Sakiwa and stepbrother Malpreme, classmates, crack dealers, co-stars from movies like Juice and Poetic Justice, Black Panthers, prison inmates, death row insiders, and even Tupac's high school girlfriend, who shared over 100 love letters. The book paints Pac not as the mythic thug icon, but as a broke, heartbroken, lonely genius trapped by his own need for validation. Reviewers are calling it remarkable and unflinching, and the definitive account that even hardcore fans didn't see coming.
I interviewed like some family members, just distant family members who happen to live in Lumberton, and one guy goes, hey, do you want to tour the house? I'm the caretaker. And I'm like, oh, so I just ripped my pants on a fence for absolutely nothing? You could just take me? I'm like, yeah, I didn't even tell my wife. He's like, yeah. He drives me there. I'm literally inside of Feni Shakur's house with the caretaker. She's died in 2016, so all her boxes are packed up. Here are her books, here are stuff. And then he said something to me that like, he goes, do you want to see where Tupac is buried? And I'm like, I don't, what do you mean? Because everyone knows Tupac's ashes were spread off the Pacific and Malibu. He's like, oh, yeah, no. He has a grave here on the property. I'm like, I didn't let on, but in my head, I'm like, wait, what?
But here's where it gets wild. Pearlman was down in Lumberton, North Carolina, a remote town of about 20,000 people, 100 miles south of Raleigh, researching Afeni Shakur's life when he met Tupac's cousin Dante Powers, the property caretaker. Powers was heading to the abandoned house Afeni had purchased back in 2000 and invited Pearlman along. Inside, nothing but boxes of Afeni's belongings. Then Powers dropped the question that changed everything.
He's like, yeah, come on. And in the front, it's in the book actually, in the pictures, in the front yard, in an abandoned lot in Lumberton, North Carolina, is Tupac Shakur's headstone, like right there. And I'm standing over it. And I would say like the full circle moment for a guy writing a book is standing over the headstone that no one even knows exists of the person you're writing about. And that was like a chills moment for me, being there with Tupac's grave. And the whole book was just a journey of wild and crazy and fun and interesting.
Afeni had purchased the 56-acre plot in 2000, 4 years after Pac's death, building an expansive house behind wrought iron gates. She lived there from 2002 until 2016, even marrying local preacher Gus Davis in 2004, though that marriage collapsed by March 2016, before she moved to a Sausalito houseboat. After her death in May 2016 at age 69, the property just sat there, vacant, overgrown, forgotten. Nothing like the pilgrimage sites for Jim Morrison in Paris or Jimi Hendrix in Seattle. Just an abandoned house in the middle of nowhere with one of hip-hop's greatest legends buried in the front yard. Why the secrecy? Pearlman speculated it was probably out of respect. The family didn't want to turn it into a circus like Graceland or Paisley Park. Lumberton's remoteness helped keep it private. But here's what makes it even crazier. The rest of Tupac's ashes were divided up in ways that sound straight out of his own lyrics. Portions were scattered in Los Angeles, Georgia near Afeni's home, Soweto in South Africa, and along the Pacific Ocean coast. And yes, the outlaws really did smoke some of his ashes, mixed with marijuana at a memorial, exactly like Pac said in his lyric, Cremated Last Wishes. smoke my ashes, Mopreme confirmed. I guess we were trying to feel close to him. Pac always talked about it. Suge Knight backed this up in recent interviews, saying the family passed around a bag with his ashes the night Pac died and rolled it up, though Sugi didn't partake because he was on probation. But the book drops way more than just the grave revelation. Perlman tracked down the real-life survivor of Brenda's Got a Baby, now 33 years old, the girl who was thrown in a Brooklyn trash chute, and reunited her with her mother. He revealed how Tupac shadowed crack kingpin Bobby Burton for a week, taking notes to prep for his role in Juice. There's the infamous Poetic Justice drama where Janet Jackson demanded an AIDS test, and Tupac straight up refused, telling people to go ahead and curse her out. The book documents Tupac's lifelong guilt over the 1992 Marin City shooting, where his gun discharged and killed 6-year-old Quaid Walker Teal, something that haunted him in his music. There's the heartbreak of his father Billy Garland not showing up for a prison visit, which Tupac said felt like having his heart carved out. Then there's the over 100 love letters to high school girlfriend Mary Baldridge, showing Pac's poetic and gentle side. But Perlman also exposes the contradictions, how this same gentle soul who moved ladybugs turned into what Death Row's mob James called a wannabe thug, a damn wannabe. How freaking pathetic. The book captures Tupac's final days with Death Row, broke and desperate, with even the car Suge gifted him actually being leased. Co-star Layla Roshan rejected his advances, saying, "I don't feel like getting shot." Perlman paints a picture of profound isolation, a sad, alone, beautiful spirit whose need for validation ultimately led him to beat down Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand, setting off the chain of events that ended his life. But while Perlman was uncovering Tupac's past, his family was dealing with present-day warfare over his estate. In January 2022, Sakiwa Shakur and the Tupac Shakur Foundation sued Tom Wally, the former Interscope executive Afeni, appointed as trustee. They accused him of straight-up embezzlement, treating the estate like his personal piggy bank. The allegations? Wally took over $5.5 million in excessive compensation since 2016, installed himself as Amaru entertainment manager, creating a massive conflict of interest, and withheld Tupac's personal items that Sakiwa inherited: cars, jewelry valued at $217,700, gold records, clothing, even pinball machines. These items were used in the Tupac Shakur Wake Me When I'm Free exhibit without her consent. Wally fired back, claiming he'd increased the estate's value by tens of millions through that very exhibit, which was Afeni's vision, and that he had absolute discretion under the trust terms. He called the embezzlement claims disappointing and detrimental. The judge ordered a full accounting by June 30 of 2022. Sakiwa blasted it as woefully short, just vague categories with no real itemization, and requested an independent CPA audit for transparency. She accused Wally of running a hide-and-control strategy, but the family's focus is on Keef D's repeated claims over the years in his 2008 through 2009 federal proffer, his 2018 documentaries, his 2019 memoir Compton Street Legend, and multiple interviews that Diddy offered $1 million for Tupac's death. According to Keef D, Diddy contacted him after the Quad Studios shooting and made the offer through associate Eric Zip Martin, allegedly saying he'd give anything for those dudes' heads, or mother-freaking millions. Diddy's name appeared 77 times in 2024 court documents and 47 times in a 2025 DEA transcript. Diddy has consistently denied everything, calling the allegations ridiculous and completely false since 2008. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department has said Diddy was never a suspect, but Mopreme Shakur told media the family is asking fresh, pointed questions. If Spiro's investigation uncovers evidence, they'll pursue criminal charges or a wrongful death lawsuit. As of now, it's all private investigation with no public breakthroughs. But the fact that Tupac's family hired one of the country's top attorneys speaks volumes about how seriously they're taking Keef D's claims. But as explosive as these revelations are about what happened after Tupac's death and where his remains actually ended up, they're just setting the stage for the even wilder conspiracy theories and legal proceedings that have kept this case alive in the streets and courtrooms for 3 decades. Conspiracy theories, Keef D's arrest, and why the streets still. Think Pac might be alive. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say the ghost. The mother of all conspiracy theories centers on Tupac escaping to Cuba to live with his aunt Assata Shakur, the Black Panther fugitive who's been in asylum there since 1984. The theory goes that Fidel Castro himself helped smuggle Tupac out via helicopter, body double, or Nation of Islam connections. There have been alleged sightings over the years, 2016 photos with Rihanna that turned out to be Photoshop, Photoshop, a Somali man who claimed to spot him in a car in 2018, locals in small Cuban towns reporting sightings. In 2018, filmmaker Michael Nice claimed he had audio and video of Castro sanctioning the escape. Suge Knight's son posted in 2018 and 19 that Tupac was alive in Malaysia, posing with Beyonce and 50 Cent, though he later clarified it was promotional content. Other alleged hiding spots include New Zealand following a 2011 PBS hack, Belize based on 2020 private investigator Jimmy Poole's photos, New Mexico on a Navajo reservation, according to Rick Boss's documentary, Tupac, The Great Escape from UMC, and East Africa with Yaki Gaddafi. Some theories involve government witness protection, Illuminati protection, or that he switched places with a body double. 2025 social media posts joke about him being alive in Brazil, in furry form, or hiding in Ruto's mansion in Kenya. Then there's the whole Machiavelli angle. Tupac's final album, The Don Killuminati. The 7-Day Theory dropped under the alias Machiavelli, referencing Niccolo Machiavelli, who theorists claim faked his own death to fool enemies. The album was recorded in 7 days and released 7 weeks after Tupac's death. The cover shows him crucified like Jesus, who rose after 3 days, though conspiracy theorists twist it to 7. Numerology obsessives go wild. He was shot on 9/7/96, died at 4:03 p.m., which adds up to 7, was age 25, which is 2 + 5 = 7. And if you rearrange the letters in Machiavelli, you supposedly get Am Alive K. Posthumous songs like God Bless the Dead from 1998 mention Biggie, who wasn't killed until March 1997, implying Tupac recorded it after his official death. Lyrics like, expect me like you expect Jesus to come back, get treated as prophetic clues. The fake autopsy theory gained traction because leaked photos showed discrepancies. The body measured 6 feet tall instead of Tupac's 5'10", weighed 215 pounds instead of 168, and appeared to be missing the Machiavelli tattoo on his neck. Theorists claimed it was actually from the California Love video or movie makeup. There was no body shown publicly, and some of his ashes were allegedly smoked by the Outlaws, who later doubted their authenticity. Conspiracy theorists pointed out his social security number remained active after death, and that the cremation happened suspiciously fast, the very next day, with the cremator allegedly vanishing afterward. Suge Knight has absolutely fueled these theories over the years. In 2017, he said, "With Pac, you never know," and in 2025 claimed Tupac asked Afeni to let him go to avoid prison. The Outlaws initially confirmed smoking his ashes, per his lyric in Black Jesus, "Cremated, last wishes, niggas smoke my ashes." But some later doubted whether what they smoked was real. Afeni's statement that Tupac chose to leave quietly gets twisted into evidence he chose to disappear. But here's the thing, literally every single one of these theories has been thoroughly debunked. Machiavelli did not fake his death. He died in 1527 from illness. The faking death myth comes from misreading his political writings. The numerology is pure cherry picking. You can make any numbers add up to anything if you try hard enough. The leaked autopsy photo that sparked an internal LVPD investigation is authentic. Discrepancies are explained by post-mortem bloating and swelling, which changes body measurements, tattoos fading or being obscured by surgical incisions and blood, and weight including fluids and organs. The 2023 grand jury saw multiple verified autopsy photos including bullet wounds. The quick cremation wasn't suspicious. It was Afeni's choice per Tupac's explicit wishes, which he literally rapped about. The family held a private memorial to avoid turning it into a spectacle, and as we now know from Jeff Pearlman's book, a portion of the ashes were buried in Lumberton, North Carolina, actual physical proof that Tupac is dead, and has been since September 13th, 1996. So why do these theories persist despite overwhelming evidence? 4 main reasons. First, institutional distrust. The case went unsolved for 27 years with no arrests until 2023. The East Coast-West Coast War, gang connections, theories about police corruption, and broader skepticism about law enforcement, especially given how the FBI targeted Black Panthers, created an environment where official narratives were automatically questioned. When authorities can't solve a high-profile murder for nearly 3 decades, people fill the vacuum with their own explanations. Second, Tupac himself engineered intrigue through his music and persona. The Machiavelli album, the prophetic lyrics, the posthumous releases, 7 platinum albums after death compared to 4 while alive, were deliberately designed to keep his mystique alive. Death Row Records and Suge Knight profited massively from the mystery, so they had zero incentive incentive to shut down speculation. Every new conspiracy theory meant renewed interest and album sales. But while conspiracy theorists were arguing about Cuba and Machiavelli, actual law enforcement was building a real case. On September 29, 2023, Diddy Keef D Davis, a 60-year-old former Southside Crips leader and Orlando Anderson's uncle, was arrested during a morning walk in a SWAT-style takedown captured on body cam footage. He was indicted for murder with a deadly weapon with gang enhancement, accused of being the shot caller who orchestrated the retaliation killing.
Do you believe Keef D when it comes to Puffy? Like when he make comments and say that, Puffy was scared of Tupac and Suge, so he would use him as protection when he came to LA, and how Puffy put a bounty on the death row chain for $1 million.
Here's what makes this case bonkers. Keef D provided his own evidence. In 2008 through 2009, he gave proffer agreements to an LAPD FBI task force under limited federal immunity, confessing he was in the front seat of the white Cadillac, obtained the .40 Glock, and passed it to the back seat where his nephew Orlando likely pulled the trigger. He named Diddy as offering $1 million for the hit. Then in 2018, he appeared in documentaries like Death Row Chronicles and Unsolved, detailing the orchestration and retaliation. In 2019, he co-wrote a memoir, Compton Street Legend, where he wrote, "One of my guys from the back seat grabbed the Glock and started busting back, and Tupac chose the wrong game." He did multiple interviews with Vlad TV, Art of Dialogue, and others admitting his presence and hinting at details. But here's where Keef D's story falls apart into a million contradictory pieces. After his arrest, he told ABC News in a jailhouse interview that his admissions were false and made for entertainment and money. He claimed he's never read the book, and that co-author Yusuf Jah did his little investigation and wrote it on his own, taking artistic liberties. He told his defense team that statements were fabricated to protect drug associates and that full immunity applied statewide. In bail motions, he argued confessions were for entertainment purposes only. He claimed, "They can't even put me in Las Vegas," because he was 300 miles away in LA with 20 to 30 witnesses as an alibi. His own son called him a liar and a fibber. Ex-detective Greg Kading, who interrogated Keef D in the 2000s, called him stupid for making public confessions after getting a proffer agreement. Keef D later raged about tainted evidence from Kading and claimed if he wasn't dangerous, why did they wait 27 years to charge him? He's flipped his story so many times, driven by profit from the book and interviews, perceived immunity, then desperation after arrest, that prosecutors have successfully argued to judges that all his statements should be admissible because he violated the proffer agreement by going public. In January 2025, his lawyer moved to dismiss charges, citing prosecution delays, violating his rights, and lost evidence and witnesses. He was convicted in a separate jail fight in April 2025 and sentenced to 16 to 40 months in September 2025 to be served concurrently. Suge Knight has weighed in from prison where he's serving 28 years for manslaughter, saying he's shocked by the arrest, that he 1000% wouldn't testify, that he knows the real shooter but won't snitch, and implying the wrong person was charged, that it wasn't Orlando Anderson. Tupac's family expressed relief at progress but frustration with delays, which is what led to hiring Alex Spiro to investigate Diddy links separately from the criminal case. As of November 10th, 2025, the trial is scheduled for February 9th, 2026, with no further delays announced. Keef D has pleaded not guilty. The prosecution is pushing for all his statements, proffer, book, interviews to be admissible in court. If convicted, former detectives like Greg Kading say a guilty verdict would officially solve the case historically. But until then, the case remains technically unsolved pending trial outcome. But to understand how we got here, why this murder happened at all, and why it took 27 years to charge anyone, you have to go back to the rivalry that set everything in motion. The East Coast-West Coast War, and how Tupac's friendship with Biggie turned into a blood feud that got them both killed.
Yeah, that's why it goes down to the chain snatching. When the people were saying, when the people first tried to snatch the chain, rumor back then that it was a bounty on that chain, that Puffy was saying we want to put this chain in in our video, and that's why the guys try to snatch the chain, and they didn't get the chain, and that's why Pac really took off and just started, you know what I mean, and fighting Orlando, because Pac look at it like, this is my beef now.
The official story is that Tupac Shakur was killed in a gang retaliation hit after he and Death Row affiliates stomped out Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand. Southside Compton Crips pulled up in a white Cadillac hours later and lit up Suge Knight's BMW at a traffic light on the Las Vegas Strip, but that's just the trigger. The real story is that Tupac's murder was the explosive endpoint of a 2-year war between the East Coast and West Coast hip-hop scenes that he and the notorious Notorious B.I.G. turned into the most dangerous beef in rap history. What started as friendly competition between regions became a corporate gang war with actual gang affiliations, million-dollar bounties, and diss tracks that literally got people killed. The East Coast-West Coast rivalry existed before Tupac and Biggie, but they became its faces and ultimately its casualties. Hip-hop was born in the Bronx in the 1970s, fostering East Coast pride. By the late 80s, West Coast gangsta rap exploded with NWA's Straight Outta Compton in 1988, bringing G-Funk and Compton street life to the forefront. Early shots were fired in 1991 when Bronx rapper Tim Dog released Fuck Compton. Dissing NWA, Dr. Dre responded on The Chronic in 1992, firing back at Tim Dog and Eazy-E. But the corporate structure made it deadly. Suge Knight's Death Row Records launched in 1991, signing Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, with direct ties to Mob Piru Bloods through Suga's gang affiliation. Sean Puff Daddy Combs' Bad Boy Records started in 1993, launching Biggie and Craig Mack, hiring Southside Crips for security. West Coast artists felt undervalued by East Coast media. Radio stations like Power 106 ran slogans like "Where Hip Hop Lives," asserting dominance. The gang connections meant label beef wasn't just about music, it was Bloods versus Crips, with millions of dollars at stake. Tupac and Biggie's personal story makes it even more tragic because they started as genuine friends. Both New York born, Tupac in Harlem in 1971, Biggie in Brooklyn in 1972, they met in spring 1993. Tupac was already established with albums like Tupacalypse Now and movies like Juice. Biggie was the up-and-coming kid. Tupac hosted Biggie at his Los Angeles home, taught him studio techniques, let him sleep on the couch, gave career advice. Biggie asked Tupac to manage him, but Tupac told him, "Nah, stay with Puff, he will make you a star." In August 1993, Tupac gifted Biggie a bottle of Hennessy at a Maryland show. Biggie later said Tupac was a real friend. Everything changed on November 30th, 1994 at Quad Studios in Manhattan. Tupac arrived to record with Little Sean and was greeted by Junior MAFIA, Biggie's crew, in the lobby. 3 armed men robbed and shot him 5 times, groin, head, hand. As he was wheeled out on a stretcher, Tupac saw Biggie, Puff Daddy, and Lil Cease upstairs acting nonchalant. In Tupac's mind, their casual reaction meant they either set him up or knew it was coming. The next day, December 1st, 1994, he was convicted of sexual abuse and sentenced while still bandaged from gunshot wounds. His rage intensified. Then, in February 1995, Biggie released Who Shot Ya? The song was recorded before the Quad shooting, but the lyrics, Who Shot Ya? Separate the weak from the obsolete, felt like mockery to Tupac. Biggie denied it was about him, saying, "I wrote that months before," but Tupac was convinced. In an April 1995 Vibe prison interview, Tupac publicly accused Biggie and Puff, "It was like they were happy I got shot." The 1995 Source Awards on August 3rd escalated everything. Suge Knight got on stage and took a direct shot at Puff Daddy. "Any artist out there want to be an artist? Come to Death Row." The crowd booed. Death Row wins. Snoop Dogg fired back at the East Coast, saying they showed no love. 2 months later, in October 1995, Suge bailed Tupac out of prison for $1.4 million and signed him to a 3-album Death Row deal. Tupac immediately recorded Ambitions as a Rida and vowed war on Bad Boy. The diss tracks came fast and furious. In November 1995, Tha Dog Pound released the New York, New York video, where Snoop and Corrupt literally kicked over NYC skyscrapers. Shots were fired at the video trailer in Brooklyn. In December 1995, Capone and Noreaga, Mobb Deep, and Tragedy Gaddafi responded with LA, LA, calling West Coast rappers soft like a Laker game. Tupac dropped All Eyes on Me in March 1996, with hits like California Love and 2 of America's Most Wanted with Snoop. But the nuclear bomb came June 4th, 1996. Hit 'em Up. Tupac opened with "I fucked your wife," referring to Faith Evans, threatened, "We gon' kill all you motherfuckers," and asked, "Who shot me?" But your punks didn't finish. The video featured Biggie and Puff lookalikes being humiliated. Biggie reportedly cried hearing it, but wanted reconciliation, refusing to respond directly. He allegedly fired back subliminally in Long Kiss Goodnight in 1997, but it came out after both were dead. The rivalry created the conditions for murder because it mixed corporate warfare with actual gang infrastructure. Death Row equals mob Peru Bloods. Bad Boy hired Southside Crips for security, including members connected to Orlando Anderson's uncle, Keef D. In LA Street Code, stealing a death row medallion was a death sentence. When Orlando Anderson allegedly took one, it set up the MGM Grand Confrontation. Tupac wore blood red at all times, publicly threatened Bad Boy and Crips, and beat Orlando on camera hours before the shooting. Keef D has claimed for years that Puff Daddy offered $1 million for Tupac's death, allegedly relayed through Crips middleman Eric Zip Martin. Whether that's true or just Keef D lying for book sales, the climate of threats and gang affiliations meant the MGM fight wasn't just about one stolen chain. It was about enforcing Death Row/Blood's dominance over Bad Boy/Crips. The Cadillac shooters weren't just avenging Orlando, they were settling the entire East-West war in one drive-by. 6 months later, on March 9, 1997, Biggie was murdered in Los Angeles in a mirror-image drive-by that remains officially unsolved. Many believe it was Suga or Blood's retaliation. By 1997 through 1998, Minister Farrakhan hosted peace summits, and Snoop and Puff appeared together on The Steve Harvey Show trying to end the war. The rivalry gradually faded as hip-hop moved into a cross-coast collaboration era, but the legacy is permanent. The feud didn't literally pull the trigger on September 7, 1996. Southside Crips did, but the rivalry loaded the gun, aimed it, and created a world where one casino fight between blood-affiliated rappers and Crip-affiliated gang members could end the life of one of the greatest artists in music history. It's why even with Keef D in custody awaiting trial in 2026, even with Jeff Pearlman's book revealing Tupac's hidden grave, even with all the facts laid out, the streets still debate what really happened. Because the truth is uncomfortable, Tupac Shakur died over the same gang politics and corporate warfare that he rapped about his entire career. And the mystery that's supposedly finally solved in 2025 is really just 29 years of unresolved trauma, conspiracy theories, and a murder case that won't fully close until a verdict is read. We've come to the clip, fam, and thank you for watching. To stay connected for first-hand info on what's trending, please click on the card showing on the screen.